All right. You ready?
Ready.
I'm Autumn Brown, a queer science fiction writer, a theologian, a mother of dragons, and a healing justice facilitator for social movements living in rural Minnesota.
And I'm Adria Marie Brown, author of Emergent Strategy and Pleasure Activism, co-editor of Octavia's Brood, facilitator of Black liberation work, auntie extraordinaire, and doula living in Detroit. I know, I'm like, it's a new year. I want to switch up what I say I am.
Yeah.
You gotta change it up.
Yeah. And this is How to Survive the End of the World.
Our podcast about learning from apocalypse with grace, rigor, and curiosity. And we doing it. We're surviving. All right. So we are here. Autumn and I are recording this on January 2nd of this year, even though I don't think you're going to hear it probably until early March. But the beginnings of things, the ends of things and beginnings of things and all the rituals around it are super important to us. And we got to share some of that with you last year, share the tarot cards we were pulling for the year and other things. And so when this comes to you, it'll be the kicking off of the next season of this show, which is kind of mind-blowing to us that this experiment keeps going and that y'all keep loving it.
Yep.
And we have something like 400,000 listens and a ton of patrons, and it's real. This is a real show.
It's real, bitch.
This is a real ass podcast, and we're like real podcasters and stuff. And it's a big way that we're organizing ourselves into 2019 and already thinking about 2020. We have some live shows coming up this year. There's a lot that's bubbling, and then both of us just continue to have these like super full, rich lives. And so we wanted to start off by sharing with you all what we're looking to do in 2019, what we're setting intentions towards. It's also some things we're looking to let go of or decrease in our lives. And I wanted to start off by talking to you, Autumn, on that tip, because last year you very vulnerably came onto this podcast and talked about the state of burnout that you're in. And then we were able to organize a sabbatical fund for you that was also rooted in the fact that you work for Aorta and they're amazing and they're down to give you sabbatical time. Yeah. And so the combination of things has made you be like, oh, I can do a sabbatical. Yeah. This is happening. And so here we are. As we're recording this, you have one more gig and then you're into the sabbatical time. And so I wanted to hear what you have planned. What are your intentions? And I hope that we'll be able to come back after your sabbatical and get to hear how it went and
sabbatical
what happened.
Debrief.
Yes, sabbaticals.
Yeah, it's really interesting to be. I'm basically 4 days out from the start of my sabbatical. So today is Wednesday, January 2nd. I'm working the rest of this week, and then I'm leading a workshop on Saturday in St. Paul, and then that's it. That's the end of my work, and so, and I'm also coming off of a week of being on holiday.
Yes.
For about 7 work days, basically.
Which holiday is never really a vacation.
It's never a vacation.
I feel like that
I always
to be
get
like
on
an
the other
official
side
thing.
and I'm like, now I need a vacation for my holiday.
Exactly.
And there were absolutely aspects of this last week that were restful, and I got a lot of really good quality time with my kids, especially last week. But
babies.
I'm inside of like a major emotional roller coaster right now.
Yeah.
That's both rooted in my burnout, but also rooted in like just major changes and transformation that are happening in some of my core relationships.
Yeah.
And so, in all honesty, the last 2 weeks of my life have been incredibly hard.
Yes.
And
you're definitely in the like, I am, dragging myself to that finish line.
And broken glass and some needles that I'm like, why are those needles there?
Yeah, people should put those in safe needle boxes.
Why didn't they put the needles away?
Yeah.
So
whack-ass
so
people.
the last 2 weeks I've basically been in like a continuous state of activation, and that's been really challenging for my nervous system.
Yeah.
And I just feel myself like literally coming apart. And I knew kind of, I had some sense that taking a week off before my sabbatical was both going to be like the thing that would get me to my sabbatical start date, but also would be really hard to do because I would start to like come apart.
If only Jesus had been born like a week later.
I know, it's just like, Jesus, why'd you do it like that? Slash the church, why are we celebrating this time of year? It doesn't make any
there's
sense.
so many factors.
So
Capitalism.
So here we go.
Yes.
You know, so I feel like,
And have the last 2 weeks actually shifted what you're needing from the sabbatical? Like, has it sharpened that in some ways?
yeah, I think so. I think like, I think the last couple of weeks have shown me that being in a place at this point in my life of feeling so under-resourced, because I've spent the last like 4 years of my life just like giving, putting things out into the world, supporting other people, supporting everyone else in my life to like get their needs met, that I feel like raw. Like I feel like I don't have skin.
Yeah.
And it means that like everything feels like an assault on my nervous system right now. And so it's helped me see really clearly how critical it is that the sabbatical time be a period in which I'm actually resting down my nervous system.
Yes.
And, you know, people talk all the time about how like you need to rest and recharge is the word that people love to use. And it's like, but it's not, for me, it doesn't feel like a metaphor anymore. It feels like I literally do need, I'm realizing that I need my sabbatical to be so focused on my body and focused on how I like regenerate a sense of like inner resource and a sense that I like actually have the strength inside my body to move through the changes that are happening in my life.
Yeah.
So what that has meant for me going into next week is just feeling I'm nervous right now. I'm really nervous.
Because this is your first sabbatical.
This is my first sabbatical. I've never in my adult life taken a break from work that wasn't either maternity leave or like a week-long vacation with my family, or like a writing residency where I was actively working on a creative project and I had like a very short window of time in which to do the work.
Our family struggles with this.
Yes.
I just want to give you like a little, I was like, it's not like you're just solo out here, you know, like we really as a family really struggle, you know, with, I mean, I was just texting our parents this past couple days of like, hey, stop working, go home, celebrate that a new year is happening or whatever. And it's just, you know, it is familial. And then for you, it's been kind of like overdrive. So the nervousness, like, is it a nervousness like, what will I do with my time, or what all is going to come through? Or
well, so what's interesting is that the plan for my time is really clear. And like my
oh yeah, you got some good plans.
I've got a whole plan.
Oh yeah.
But what I'm
I love that you have so much plans, because my when I have a break, I'm just like, no plans. That's how I know it's.
And this is exactly the autumn experience, right? That I'm like, I've had to work really hard to not create a whole bunch of goals for what I'm going to do at this time. And so
good job.
Thank you. So the only goal I've created for myself for what I'm going to do at this time is to finish revising my novel.
Nothing big at all.
But like, you know, my novel is
incredible.
My novel is complete. So it's like, it really is just a revision process.
Yeah, it's just like giving a kiss and a hug and a little noodle.
Well, and rearranging some things, and you know what I mean? It's like, I've got sections of the novel that don't know where they live yet and things like that. So the way I've structured my sabbatical is really around my writing process.
Great.
And so I'm going to spend the month of January revising. And also like sleeping, reading, resting. I'm going to Mexico for a week by myself the second week of January.
Yay.
Due to an incredibly generous offer from one of our listeners. So I'm going to be going and staying in this beautiful house on the coast.
Yes.
And I think I really am going to use those days really just for reading and sleeping and probably very little writing.
Good.
But when I come back, my plan is to really use the next few weeks to finish the revision process.
Great.
And then my hope is that by the first week of February, I'm sending my draft to my readers.
Great.
And then you and I are going to Ireland together in February for 2 weeks to lead this visionary fiction writing workshop.
So excited.
And then I'll come back. I'll have 3 weeks after that where I'm home.
Okay.
And so my hope is to have the feedback from my readers by the middle of March. Good. Because that's when I go to Vermont for my writing residency. Yay. And I'll be in Vermont for the last 2 weeks of March, finishing my novel.
Awesome.
And probably I'm guessing starting a new
like
project
a trip
as well.
Each month.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. The other thing that's happening is I'm also working on an album. So
tell us more, Autumn.
I just started. So this is brand new for me that in the last couple of years, I've started writing music for the first time. Yeah. Like really. And
well, you've always been writing music actually, but
I've always been, but I never saw myself as a songwriter. And then really in the last few months, I've had like a whole series of songs just really flow through me. And so I've started a collaboration
I got to listen to some of them. They're really good. I'm like cupping this so that you can't hear me telling the readers.
Like I can't see that your hand is over your mouth.
Like readers. I got to. Or I guess they're not reader listeners. They're good songs.
So I've started a collaboration with a very dear old longtime friend and musical collaborator named Nehemiah Luckett.
That's a great name for a musician.
He's an amazing person with an amazing name, an amazing voice, and he's incredibly talented. And
that sounds perfect.
So we're going to be making music together.
Yay.
And I don't have any goals around that. I'm just like letting it unfold.
Yes.
And Nehemiah and I we're just very much in the zone of like, let's just see what this feels like to make music together. And
how's it felt so far?
It's incredible. I mean, it's really interesting because Nehemiah and I used to play music together when we were in college. That's where we met. And it's really interesting to come back to, collaborating musically with someone who I've known for a long time and trust very deeply, and who I feel just very aligned with in terms of our musical style. Yeah. But to do that at a point where my voice has matured fully, because like, right. For most women, our voices do not mature fully musically until we're in our like early 30s. Yep. And so I can do things vocally that I could never have done when I was in my late teens, early 20s, when I was originally making music with Nehemiah.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. I feel like I read someone wrote that about Aretha Franklin, that it's like there's something that happens that you need a couple of heartbreaks in your life, which I think is wild because it feels real to me that it's like you need a few heartbreaks. There's a certain way that you cry. There's a certain thing that does. It changes your body and your throat and the noises you can make, the certain kinds of grief, that it's like, oh, there's a certain thing that you can only sing after you have been like crying in the shower for hours. There's a certain thing you can only sing after you have like lost a loved one.
And in my case, I feel like I was always a very inhibited singer. Yes. Like I've always had a good voice. I've always had a really huge range vocally, but I was always very inhibited because I am a perfectionist and then being classically trained didn't help that because it was like,
there is a right way.
Exactly. Oh shit. If there is a right way and I can't do it exactly that way, then I can't sing. And the last few years, really starting in 2016 when I went on that vocal arts residency to Croatia. Yes. Like the last couple of years have been about me relearning what my voice is and what my voice can do. That's right. And then just getting really free inside it and being like, I actually love the way it sounds when I am in my like uninhibited place of creativity. I can do vocal improvisation now in a way that I couldn't do before because I was too scared. Yeah. And so it's been pretty powerful actually to be like finding my voice again, or finding my new voice.
Yeah, that's exciting.
So that's my plan. The nervousness is so many things. My nervousness is that I won't be able to relax.
Yeah.
My nervousness is that like there are too many changes happening in my life and I won't be able to focus on myself because I'll be so focused on those changes. Yeah. My nervousness is that I'm nervous I'm going to have a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm afraid of some of the things that are going to come up that are related to all of the grief and trauma that I'm carrying that I've been like, you know, compartmentalizing in order to make it. Mm-hmm. And so the way I'm trying to take care of that is by not having so many goals that I will feel brilliant. Like, I think it's important that if I don't finish my novel at the end of March, that it doesn't feel like I failed.
Exactly.
You know?
I mean, I have to say, I'm so glad that the first place you're going is a remote location by yourself.
Yeah.
Because I think that as someone who's done sabbatical before myself and coached a lot of people into and through sabbaticals, one of the things I think is absolutely true is that hopefully you schedule a sabbatical in such a way that you can have a nervous breakdown without having too much impact on your life. That's a lot of what I was like, when I see people who are like, I'm taking a sabbatical from this so I can do this other project or whatever. I'm like, that's not actually what I'm thinking. You know, like when I'm thinking of it is I'm like, I have maxed out and I need to kind of fall apart and then see what's left that matters to me and pick only those small pieces up, leave the rest behind and move forward.
Yeah.
And like that does take solitude. It takes like rest. It also takes nights where you can't rest and you're just up all night, like looking at the moon, howling at it. What's going on? Who am I? Why? And it takes a very private time.
Yeah.
It's like it's so private. And I think when we don't give ourselves that private time comes into our public lives and takes, space there. It's like, I will make a mess of anything else if you need me to, because I will make sure that, I get your attention. So I think it's really powerful that you're like, I'm going to go somewhere where there's nothing else but me to contend with. And I love it. When people do silent meditation, which is just a lot of other things I think you can do that can kick you right in those particular balls.
And I think they're kicking me right in those balls. And I think that like there's certainly an elegance to the way all of this has happened. Like there's a real magic to the timing around when I was offered this place, because it came in the wake of a different trip I was planning to take being canceled in a way that was like really awful.
Yeah.
And so like it was just very like, oh, the universe is putting me in the way of this experience that I actually need to have.
Exactly.
Because what I desperately need, obviously, is to be alone and to really reckon with what is happening inside me when I'm alone.
And that's actually, I'll say this, and we can decide later if you want to keep it in or not. But I feel like that, to me, the biggest difference in our lives is that I'm very like, oh, alone time is how I survive. Like, I love being with other people, but I'm very like kind of very protective over the spaces that I need to have on my own. And in your life, I'm like, even when you're like, oh, we're taking a break, we're doing a vacation, whatever, it's like, and I'm still with 5 to 7 other human people and dogs and cats. And, I'm like, there's literally actually between the cats, the dog, children, husband, there's 10 to 12 people that are creatures, living beings that rely on your well-being, even on a day off. Right. Then so what a day off looks like for you is still fielding all of that incoming. And so, when when I take a day off, I'm like, I am eating an edible at 9:00 in the morning, turning my phone off, taking a bath, binge watching Big Mouth or Grace and Frankie or something. And then I will check in with the world when I fucking decide to. And no one's even going to knock on my door except maybe my favorite baby friend, who even she is so smart because she'll be like, 2 minutes. That's all I need from you. And I'm like, great. I don't have to be in a coherent state to give it to you. You're a kid. So like that, you know what I'm saying? Like what alone time, what quiet time yields. I am like very into the value of it. And I actually think the majority of moms I know never actually get alone time.
Yeah.
And like, if I was to start like another whole foundation or another project, it would be like alone for moms. Exactly. It would just be like, we will book your babysitter and your domestic support, and we will like send your husband somewhere or your partner or whatever, and then you will actually get to be alone. So I'm just like thanking all the stars.
Yeah.
You know, Kendrick Lamar's that made it possible for this to happen.
Yeah. And I think the only other experience I've had of being alone at that level is when I did that writing residence on Martha's Vineyard. But even then, like I was working on a very specific schedule. I was writing for 6 hours a day. I was like, you know what I mean? It was like, it wasn't a situation where I could choose to do or not do anything.
Yes.
And I think that what I am really curious about is like, what is it going to feel like inside of Autumn to be in an experience where I can choose to do or not do anything?
I'm so excited for you. I'm excited for that.
Yes.
That's perfect.
So, I would love to hear a little bit about what you have planned for the next few months of your life. Miss, I just got back from Thailand.
I know. I just got back from Thailand, and I think I might be going back already.
Eat, pray, love.
You know, well, eat, pray, baby. I mean, like, it's just, I fell in love with the baby, right? Which is duh. Like, obviously, if you see someone for the first couple of weeks of their life, you're just going to, there's just like irresistible time, right? Just like, oh my gosh, all you can do is grunt and poop, and it's magic. You're amazing. But yeah, I'm looking ahead at my year, and I have all these like warriors around me in my friend group who are like, stop over scheduling, stop over planning. Like you know, I'm not at the zone where I'm like, I need a full sabbatical yet, but I'm getting close. I am like, I definitely am like,
it's been such a big year.
It's been a huge year, and I feel like I just went, you know, like super ninja'd my way through this year and asked for a lot of help, got a lot of help. But I also feel like all systems are on this level of alertness and like, just like, am I doing enough? Am I doing enough? Am I doing enough? It feels very present. So this year, the big thing that I'm trying to do this year is really pivot back from facilitating and push some other people in my life into a lot of the facilitation work that I've been holding, because I have amazing facilitators around me who are hungry for these opportunities and who want to be mentored around specifically bringing the emergent strategy aspects to it. So that's a big like meta goal for the year. And one of the ways I'm trying to move that is that the thing that I'm offering in the world is going to be emergent strategy training, like facilitation training, some more immersions. And the immersions will happen in places where there are clusters of folks who came through the Detroit programming this year. Yes. So I'm looking at
all incredible.
Literally, it was just like
magic.
Almost 300 magic people. Fell in love with each other, fell in love with me. I fell in love with them. And now I'm like, I think that there's enough of these strong clusters that something new can grow with each of them. So I'm looking at Durham. I'm looking at New Orleans. I'm looking at the Twin Cities.
Hey.
I'm looking at the Bay, New York, possibly LA. These are just places where like large clusters of people came, and where I'm like, there's enough, you know, it's sort of like there's 6 to 10 people who would hold the local programming. Yeah. And so that feels exciting to me. Bringing on staff for Emergent Strategy Ideation Institute. So by the time this podcast comes out, I'll know who this magical human being is that is helping me get all the things together. And then there's someone else who came through the Emergent Strategy Ideation Institutes last year who I'm bringing on to also just help with event production of those.
Beautiful.
So those feel, and I'm really nervous about that. I really do well just doing or I have done well in my life just being like, I just hold that part of things.
Yeah.
And what happened this year is like the incoming overwhelmed what I can put out. Right. So I'm like, I can't even manage the number of people who are like, can you come do something?
Yes.
And even when I'm like, don't come on my social media and ask me to do work. You know, like I have boundaries set in each of those places, and it doesn't matter. Like people still come in my PMs and my DMs and my FM, whatever M's, and they're just like, how can I reach you?
Right.
And so it starts to feel like, oh, can I just go somewhere? You know, so I'm just like, I'm hoping that those people will help to redistribute that incoming so that it can feel joyful again. Because I really want it to be like, Yes, there's so much excitement. Yes.
And now there's so many people who can help hold this.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's a way to meet that excitement, because the goal for me has always been, I never want to be a bottleneck to any concept that I'm excited about.
Right.
So I never want to be like, well, you can only get it if you come through contact with me, because that doesn't feel sustainable. And that doesn't match with any of my beliefs in the world.
Right. Or what emergent strategy
is and how it has grown. Like, it's like, it has grown without me being in 95% of the places where it has grown.
Yeah, you didn't even do a book tour.
Nothing. Okay.
I'm like, people don't even realize this. Someone was asking me this the other day. They were like, how does Adrienne promote her work? And I was like, she doesn't promote her work.
I don't promote. I don't promote the work. I mean, I do in that, I'll say, like, if
you have an amazing social media presence.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, I think for me, if someone follows me on Instagram, then they will see my love for emergent strategy showing up in all the ways. And then I uplift, like, when other people love it, I uplift that. And I'm like, look, someone else cast a spell, someone else used one of the tools, whatever. But I'm never like, I've never sat down and be like, like, where do I want to place this and that, whatever interview thing. So, and that works for me. It's not a strategy I recommend for necessarily everyone, but I'm so anti-fame that I'm like, it's like, I'm really trying to figure out, like, how to offer my things in the world and be recognizable for that, and still not have to deal with the negative trappings of it. Right. So goals for the year. I'll say another big goal, or not even goal, but like just an intention I'm holding for this year, is I want to sing a lot more with others. So I'm like so excited your album is coming out, because I'm like, goal, like that to me is a goal, that you have an album out.
One of my goals is that
you do something. I love making goals for others. But this past December, and in December I was in New Orleans, and my friend Sage Crump, invited me to a song circle at her house. And I can't stop talking about how incredible the song circle was. Just singing. It was like a group of women. There were drinks. There was like coquitos and wine and whiskey and stuff. And people just took turns offering up, like, oh, what about this? Grief and praise. And it was just like, ooh, and then people just jump in and start harmonizing and singing together. And there was just magic coming up, swelling, harmonizing, and then coming down. And each song felt like such a spiritual journey. And I literally feel like it was rearranging me. And I have forgotten that one of my greatest joys in life comes from singing with other people in that way. And that's my best singing. That's my best self. I really do feel like that's a highest self. That's a liberated self. So I want to find ways and places to say yes to that, and maybe invite and hold some of that. I get nervous a little bit around, like, I will hold it, because I'm like, I'm really the worst with words of songs. So like, I was like, that's a pretty song. I love the rhythm. So
it's like Adrienne and I just went to see the new Spider-Man movie, Into the Spider-Verse. Exactly. And it's one of the best part, the Mike Morales character, who's so like, good. Or Miles Morales character, where he's so like, got his headphones on, and he's like, this is mine.
I like, that's literally how I'm living my whole life. Okay.
We're doing great.
We are doing great. I love you. So that feels like a really big piece of my life. And then there's just the continuous thing of spending more time with people I love.
Yes.
Than I do spending any attention on things I don't love. So like, I want to spend a lot of time. I want to spend so much time with all my nibblings this year. And like, my nibbling hoard keeps growing, like, I just feel like I love that okay. So pause, rewind. In our childhood,
oh my God,
we would be sitting around the dining room table. So I'm raising this because I just said something that made Autumn spit water on herself.
No, I successfully avoided it actually coming out of my mouth, but it was close. It was a close.
There was a droplet on your lip. Anyway, so when we were kids, we would be sitting around the dining room table, and like, God. I don't think I was really even necessarily aiming for this, but a lot of times I would be able to time a joke such that you or April had just taken a bite
Just
of food or
timing.
a drink of water or some other drink, and then you would spew the substance out of your mouth onto the whole table.
Something that only you seem to derive pleasure from.
Well, I still derive it. I guess I'm evil in that
The other
particular
thing that
way.
you made me do, I don't know how you made me do this, but you would make me laugh so hard that I would clap my hands, but I would miss when I clapped. And my hands would just go past
Your
each
hands
other.
would go past each other. Oh, yeah.
No one else can make me laugh like that.
Well,
That's you.
see. So, goals.
Okay, so nibbling horde.
Anyway, so my nibbling horde keeps growing. Like, I just keep acquiring more and more children that I'm like,
I'm a little
smitten.
concerned that you're referring to it as a horde, but go
Well,
ahead.
I mean, in a positive way, I really hope that it becomes, I will
yeah,
say
true.
this, it does feel like an upswell of children who are remarkable. Like, starting with, as your children came into the world and came into my life. And I was like, I remember saying this, like with Finn, I was like, I think he's like a cellular genius.
Yes.
Like, he's actually growing so quickly and he's alert so much earlier than I remember other, like children or like what I've been told about kids.
Yeah.
I'm just like, whoa, I just feel like this generation of kids, there's something really incredible about them. And I keep having these moments where people are like, I don't know how this child is this big. They're so tall. They're so attentive. They're so smart. They're so hungry for knowing how to survive in this world. They're so emotionally attuned. Like, there's so much going on. And that just keeps happening with kid after kid after kid, which I think is on some evolutionary level, there is a way that, in a breastfeeding scenario, right? It's like the child is sending signals into the breast of what I need, and the breast is responding and sending signals into the, it's like there's this communication around the nourishment that's happening. And I almost feel like that it's almost like the earth is sending some kind of signal. Here's the kind of adults, here's the kind of humans that we need. Like, we need you to be emotionally prepared and ready and brave and large and like, times are changing and you need to be ready. I mean, small babies are fantastic and right, small and mighty, big and mighty, but there's something like the spirit is big. And I just keep feeling like all these children are coming in the world with huge spirits, ready to go, ready to feel, ready to love, and just paying it. I mean, like, attention. I'm like, you should not be able to see me yet. Yeah. And you're following me around the room. How is that? Yeah. You shouldn't be able to understand this yet. But like, one of my nibblings is regularly, like, we'll be having a conversation. I'm like, she'll ask a question within a few minutes that indicates like, I deeply understood everything you just were saying. I'm like, but you are too. But, but how? Yeah. And it's amazing to me. Yeah. And they're all like, a lot of them are like in different areas of their life. They're like, we are in what the 95th percentile of kids has ever been in terms of height or speed or reading capacity at this age or other things. And I'm like, I don't think I'm only friends with people who are having genius babies. I think there's something about this generation and I'm excited about it. So I want to spend a much more time with them. Like, I feel like I want to be an important factor in all of their lives. Like, I want to be memorable. I want to help shape them. I want to be a vision of fatness and blackness and queerness and like alternative ways of loving and building family and all of that. So that just feels like a really big like calling for my year. Hello, beloveds. I just wanted to add here a little note because as I was listening back to the recording of this, I was thinking, I know that so many of my nibblings are actually people who would be seen as neurodivergent or having different abilities or disabilities. And, but I don't know that all of you know that. So that when I'm speaking about this nibbling horde of mine, that I'm speaking about nibblings with Down syndrome, I'm speaking about nibblings with sensory disorders, I'm speaking about nibblings with all kinds of mental health and mental differences and things that are considered attention deficit disorder and all these different things. And yet every single one of them is living it in a way that I know I didn't grow up seeing. That scale, that passion, that love, that sense of rightness, that knowing exactly the spiritual path you're meant to be on. So I just wanted to be clear that that is what I meant and what I mean when I speak about my brilliant genius nibbling horde. Thank you. So all of that feels like what this year is going to be about. And then pleasure activism is coming out, and I'm not doing.
When's it going to drop, Adrienne?
So on the internet, it says basically February 14th, I think, which is so cute.
That's
I totally didn't plan it that way, but I think it's cute. Because it's like, you don't have to buy a card. Get this book for somebody, you know? Don't tell them to love you. Tell them to love themselves. So I think that the book is going to be, I'm really curious how it's going to be received, but if it's been such a succulent process, like the creation of it has been so good. So just in the same way, like Emergent Strategy, the process felt very like sacred and massive on a, I was like, whoa, like I feel like I'm riding a big old God bicycle or something trying to do this project. And for this one, it's just been like rolling pleasures, like I've just been like, I am delighted by these conversations that ended up in the book. I'm delighted by the process of editing. I'm delighted by what I chose to care about and not care about. I'm delighted by how much Audre Lorde and Toni Cade Bambara are uplifted in it. It's just like, it was a deep pleasure to me to create. And I am going to do a few events this year around it because I was like, this one, I want to go play with people around it. Like, not even promote it, but just be like, like, let's enjoy this together. And like, I want to bring the people in it. It's more interviews and conversations than Emergent Strategy. So I want to have like those conversations in places where those folks live of just like, let's talk, you know? And I just hope that it brings a lot of pleasure to a lot of people. And it's like one of those things of, it feels important at this time to be increasing the pleasure that exists in the universe. Like we need that.
Especially right now.
And I want to get a lot of tattoos. Ooh, have I told you about this yet?
No.
I want to tattoo my whole ass, basically. There's this person,
like one whole side, or just like the whole entire.
There's this there's this like lingerie model that I follow on Instagram. I have to find her. I think it's like Galadoo or something like that. But I was noticing, I was like, every time I look at her pictures, I'm like, the lingerie fine, but like the tattoos are stunning to me, and it's kind of like they come. It's like starts on the hip and it just looks like a vine into flower thing that like opens across the ass and then goes down the thighs.
Lovely.
And I was like, I want that. I love my ass and thighs. And like, that would be when I put there was a period where I tattooed a cow and an elephant on my arms because I had always felt negatively towards my arms, right? And I think we talked about this in Decolonizing the Body. Yeah. But it was like, that was an act of self-love and claiming those as like these big, beautiful, unapologetically beautiful spaces. And I feel the same way, like where I'm just like, I actually really love my ass and I love my thighs.
Let me
and
decorate it.
Yes. Like let me decorate it so that everyone can really, enjoy it. But I'm like, and then I'm going to have to take lots of pictures of that. I'm just like, definitely. I might have to be a lingerie model in 2020 or something, but I'm just like, I have no idea. I just want to open myself to all those possibilities because I'm like.
Pleasure activism is about to change your entire social media persona.
I do. I'm just like, I don't want to really wear clothes anymore. So anyway, we'll see what happens with all that.
I love that.
Thank you.
Well, these are such good intentions for the year.
Yeah, we're going to have a great year.
We're going to have a great year. High fives.
Dumpster fire to the end.
The dumpster fire to the end. Yeah, I'm just like 2018. You can just go be alone in the woods.
With a blindfold on.
With a blindfold on. And a box of birds. Good luck.
Terrifying creatures. All right.
I think that, so Adrienne and I were thinking that similar to last year, that with the last few moments that we have, we could pull a card for each other.
I love this.
For the year.
Practice, yes.
So do you want me to go first? Can I pull a card for you?
Please.
Okay, can you hold my mic?
Gotcha.
All right. So as before, I'm using the Wild Unknown Tarot deck.
Yes. I love this deck.
Which has served me so well this year.
Yeah. Tarot is literally everything. It keeps coming through for me with such clarity. I just want everyone to have their own deck and their own practice. Oh, I'm also working on a tarot deck this year.
That's right.
I'm going to it's going to happen.
Octavia Butler tarot deck.
Yeah, Octavia Butler tarot deck. It's going to be a thing.
That was a good one. I had a card just pop out. It's a nice card.
What was it?
Ace of Cups.
Oh, Ace of Cups. I want that in my life. Okay, good. Damn, this deck is trying to tell you lots of stuff about me.
It's like, stop
reading my life with your shuffle. All right.
You cut it. Very nice.
Thanks. My cutting is all that.
Right. Oh, your card for the year is one of my absolute favorite cards in this deck, the Empress.
Yes.
It's a gorgeous tree that's glowing in a red light. And I'm just going to read it to you.
Please.
The
OMG.
Empress. What a great and auspicious card.
I'm very excited about this card.
Creation, nature, the mother. The Empress is the mother or the goddess of the tarot. Her energy encompasses all that is warm, fertile, creative, and sensual in the world. Hi.
Ding, ding, ding.
Her strength comes from being gentle and compassionate and loving without binding. When this card appears, it's pointing to either a maternal relationship in your life or the side of yourself that wants to love more. The Empress also suggests, this is just what we were talking about. The Empress also suggests it's time for you to reconnect with nature. Go outside tonight and find the moon.
Ooh, that's exciting. I'm on it.
Yeah.
It's also new moon time. While we're
Yeah,
doing
good luck
this.
finding the moon.
I feel like, is it that black hole or that one? All right. So now it's your turn.
My turn.
And what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm working with the Slow Holler Tarot deck.
So beautiful.
My fave, one of my absolute faves. I hope they reprint more this year so more people can have it. So what I'm going to ask you to do is cut the deck. And then Bran wants to be part of our tarot deck reading. Me and that dog are doing so good this visit.
Yes.
And spread it out with your left hand. And then let a card call to you for this year, for 2019. Oh, I love that.
Oh my gosh, that's so
That's
interesting.
So important. That almost makes me want to cry. I'm getting like a tingle in my brain. So the card that Autumn just pulled is the Strength card, number 8 of the Major Arcana. I love that we both pulled Major Arcana cards for this year. Something magical about that. Can I read it to you?
Yes.
Yeah. So hunker down. Persist in your course. Brace yourself for resistance. Know your path, your goals, your capabilities, and your shortcomings. Release shame. Release the desire to control others. Feel your resilience growing. The Strength card reflects quiet determination in the face of adversity. To show persistence in the face of setbacks, to maintain your composure and focus, you'll need patience. Prepare for the long haul and brace yourself for the challenges ahead. Find the place of refuge, solace, protection, or shelter where you can tap into the deepest wells of strength inside you. Trust your own power, even and especially when others can't or won't see it. Strength is neither perfection nor invincibility, but resilience, adaptability, and determination. Oof. Well,
Wow.
the tarot will get you right. The tarot will get you right.
That's so incredible.
Tarot will get you right in your life.
And exactly the message I needed to hear. And also one of the things that's really interesting about pulling that card
Yeah.
is that I feel like the Strength card,
Yeah.
the Strength card in my deck is,
Yes.
it's 11 instead of 9.
Yeah.
But it's the card that I pulled the night that I finished my novel.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect.
I think, if I'm remembering correctly. So anyway, it just feels like
It's us-
both
yeah.
the message that I absolutely need to hear right now, like literally today
Literally
in my
today,
life.
yeah.
But also it feels very auspicious in terms of the project that I'm like
Yes.
trying to bring to closure.
Mwah.
Yay.
May it be so.
May it be so. Well,
All right. We did it.
let's plan to check in again on the other end of my sabbatical
I would love to.
and see how things have gone.
It's going to go great.
In the meantime, we're gonna take our break and
Yes.
see
I'm so excited for us doing this.
what comes.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to our show. We're on Twitter and Instagram at End of the World PC. We're also on Facebook at End of the World Show.
You can make a sustaining donation to our show by visiting our page at patreon.com/End of the World Show. And we will be figuring out new goodies for our patrons this year. So be on the
for fanny
watch.
packs.
I love the fanny packs idea. I'm pro.
Another incredibly helpful thing you can do to help our show sustain itself is to write us a review on Apple Podcasts if you are an iPhone person. Thank you.
How to Survive the End of the World is produced and edited by the immense and magnificent Zach Rosen.
Music for today's show comes from Tunde Olaniran and Mother Cyborg.
Yes, and I highly recommend listening to Esperanza Spalding's 12 Little Spells if you ever miss us. We're all up in that music.
It's all up in it.
It's all up there.
Bye.
Bye. I just wanted to add one more little note because I am feeling so deeply happy and so content right now in my life. And I started out the year feeling a lot of distress and a lot of dis-ease, like stretched too far and holding too much. And I have been feeling deeply content and satisfied for about a month now. And since we recorded this so long ago, I'm like, oh, that's shifted already. And as the new year starts and y'all start to hear about what's happening in life, I want you to know I am doing intermittent fasting and I'm swimming every day and I'm traveling and I'm home in what feels like a good balance. And I am, just deeply, deeply, deeply content with my life right now. So, happy notes, happy notes.